All right, everybody. So today we're going to talk about decision making and different methods of decision making. A decision making, first off, is when a group makes a choice among several alternatives. So that's what decision making is, and we're going to talk about different ways that groups go about making decisions and the different methods that are out there. So this is methods of decision making is the topic again. All right. So the example here we're going to use throughout is, and that I'll thread throughout this as much as possible, is the San Francisco Giants, a baseball team. And back, I think it was in 2014, they were in the World Series. And in the World Series, there are 7 games, and they had played 6 of them. And the the thing about it is that after those 6 games, they were tied with the opposing team, and there were three that were won by the Giants and three that were won by the other team. And so a decision was being made about who the pitcher should be, and people in when I talk about you're talking about baseball, a lot of times like people think that the pitcher is like the most important player, and I guess it's debatable. But anyway, people were really interested in who Bruce Bochy, who was the manager at the time, was going to pick to be the opening pitcher. And a lot of people wanted Madison Bumgarner to be the opening pitcher. And the thing is that he had pitched, I think, the night before that, and his arm was tired. So there was a debate who to have as the opening pitcher, and should it be Madison Bumgarner or not? Was his arm too tired? Could he handle it? Or could you bring him in later, etc.? And there's Madison Bumgarner, who, and I'll tell you at the end here, or not at this video, who they actually picked. But at any rate, so one is decision by expert in the group. This is where you have an expert in the group, who's a member of your group, and they make the decision by themselves. Would be like if Bruce Bochy made the decision by himself, um, as an expert, or and that's probably what actually happened with this. But anyway, you find the person that's the expert and in the group, and they're an expert on that thing, and then they become the one to pick it. So, if you're in a group when you have somebody who knows a lot about visual aids, you have them pick how you're going to do your visual aids, whether that be Keynote or Prezi or PowerPoint or whatever, Google Slides. And here, the expert in this case was Bruce Bochy, and he probably was the one who made the decision. But let's say that didn't happen. What are some other options they could have had? So, one is by a decision by an expert outside the group. This is where you feel like you either don't have somebody that's an expert in your group, or your experts in the group are too biased, and so you bring someone from the outside. An example of that might be to get a journalist who's extremely knowledgeable, like Ray Ratto. He's been studying. He's a journalist of the sports, but he's the person that could make a decision. On this, he had lots of opinions, and a lot of people were asking him his opinion about who should be the starting pitcher for the 7th game of the World Series. The last time recently in 2014, anyway, the Giants were in the World Series. So you could ask somebody as an expert outside the group. That's not what they did, but they could have. Yeah. So they could have asked Ray Ratto. He's famous for his. If you don't know who he is, if you ever watch sports commentary and you see somebody with a really crazy sweater, that's who it is. Ray Ratto. Okay. The other thing is you could average individual rankings and ratings. So you could have the people rank all the different pitchers on the Giants, and have a bunch of people, everybody in the organization, all the players. You can even ask the popcorn guy and the hot dog guy or whatever to rank them and then rate them as well on a scale of 1 to 10. And then whoever gets the best score, who's ranked the highest, would be the one that you pick. So it's surveying the entire group. That's not probably what they did, but if they did do that, they could survey even, they could ask all the players what they thought. Ask Hunter Pence, and have him rank or rate, or both. Next up, we have the random choice option. This is where you basically, with this technique, it's not recommended generally by your authors, but it's for groups where the decision isn't very serious. but typically groups will like flip coins or roll dice to make a decision, take names out of a hat to make a decision about who the pitcher would be. For example, if they had like all the names of all the different pitchers for the Giants in a hat and pulled them out, or maybe rolled some dice and one meant it was going to be one player and two meant it was going to be the other player, or coin flip. Keep flipping coins until you get to the one. Once again, for groups that are not very serious about their decision making, but some groups do this. You have to be willing to live with the consequences, though, because if you go for random choice and you don't like what you get, you could be pretty upset with yourself. Decision by minority. This is where you take someone who is the least like everybody else and sort of represents the minority, not the typical mainstream individual, and ask them what they think. I doubt that they asked, somebody that was, kind of a quirky offbeat player, or somebody that, sold nachos in the stands, who should be the starting pitcher. But anyway, that would be what you'd be doing. It is good though when the group needs, if the person, if that person gets often overlooked. So, for example, if you have a vegan in your group and you're trying to pick a restaurant, have the vegan pick the restaurant because they know the most about, a restaurant which wouldn't be able to meet their unique dietary needs, or if you had somebody who was gluten-free in your group, for example. And then we have decision by consensus. And with the decision by consensus, this is where you are looking for like 100% agreement. And this is true consensus, not just people, doing groupthink and thinking they're agreeing, but they're not really agreeing, or pretending to agree, or lying about their agreement. But I mean, for true consensus, it means 100% of people can get behind the idea. It's pretty hard to achieve that. It takes a long time to discuss it, and it's hard to get 100%. I mean, there's usually at least one or something who doesn't like the idea or votes against it, or isn't that crazy about the idea. But that's the idea: is consensus is 100%. And those are your things. Did I skip? I might have skipped majority rule. Um, yeah. So this one is actually very common, especially in group communication classes. Majority rule is where you just take a vote and see what like 50% or more of the people want. So you just have them vote. You know, who do you pick to be the starting pitcher? Um, they could have polled everybody basically, but no ranking or rating system. Just everybody gets a vote. And it's the majority rules type thing. 50% or more is a majority is the idea there. This is very efficient, and a lot of groups do it because everybody gets to vote. The only problem is that sometimes you can, the majority can kind of get into this mob mentality and ignore the needs of the minority. So there can be some problems with majority rule. It makes the decision fast, but is it a high quality decision sometimes? Because people can just quickly vote, but did they really think it through? So anyway. So okay, so that now we've done them all. So what ended up happening? Well, like I said, it ended up being Bruce Bochy, so decision by expert. He made the decision, and he decided not to have Madison Bumgarner as the opening pitcher. He picked another player that was more of an up and coming pitcher, and then after that guy's arm got tired after a few innings, he went ahead and had Madison Bumgarner to come on. And the rest is history. The Giants ended up winning, but he did not pick Madison Bumgarner as an opener, and probably the reason is because Madison Bumgarner's arm was tired from the night before, and he didn't want to wear it out, so he wanted to just use it for the second half of the game. And he did, and the Giants won. And I think that's the last time. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully they'll have a great season this year again. Whenever we get back playing again, I don't know when that'll happen. Maybe never. Hopefully soon. But hopefully, the Giants will do well again. But back in 2014, they won the World Series, and Madison Bumgarner was not the starting pitcher. The decision was made by expert, by Bruce Bochy. But you just think about all the different other ways that they could have done it, like majority rules, have everybody vote. And that could be all the players and the people that worked in the stadium, and all the managers, and just get everybody's vote. They didn't do it that way, but that would have been another way. So hopefully your group will make a lot of great decisions, and you use these various techniques to make decisions. And let me know if you have any questions, as always. So that's decision making.